Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL. I'm going to be doing some FPL tips for week 8 here. Um, as you can see, this is my current team setup, and I'm still debating whether or not I want to do a wild card now or hold off. One thought that I did have was looking at doing a wild card after the last international break just to really prepare for the late November and December fixtures. So that's still an option that I would have available if I decide to hold off on my wild card. So right now, um, as you can see, my team looks pretty good. I don't have any guys that are injured or really should be questionable for this week. So don't really have to do a wild card. I am pretty happy with my team kind of the way it is. So looking back at it last week it's been 2 weeks now, but my week 7 points came out with 58 points. Like I've said before, I do like to be just above the average. Um, I'm not a top 1,000 player or anything like that. As you can see, my overall rank is 1.3 million, and I'm feeling pretty happy with that, mostly because I know I do handicap myself with not picking. I really do try not to pick any Man City or Liverpool players, since I am a Manchester United fan. But for other people out there, I would definitely recommend going with some of those players. So, um, missed out on some points by going with captain of Lukaku instead of Kane for that week, but not really a whole lot of points that I missed out on. Probably would have been the difference between where I'm at now and maybe jumping up to being in the top million overall. But either way, that's kind of where I'm at now. I like my forward line: Lukaku, Kane, Vardy. Um, might make a change here in my defense, and I'll get to that a little bit later on, uh, talking about the defense setup. So, one thing that I did want to talk a little bit about is formations. As you can see here, I have a 3-4-3. In the past, going with 3-4-3 for this season, as well as in other seasons, was looking at 3-5-2 setups. Um, but I am thinking about going with a 4-4-2 or even a 4-3-3. Probably lean more towards a 4-3-3. The reason for that being, right now, the top 15 points include 6 defenders, a goalkeeper who is David De Gea. As you can see, he's right here at 11th for overall points. There's 4 midfielders and 4 forwards, and 2 of those are injured. I know there's talk of Aguero coming back this week, but I just don't see it. Broken ribs in a game like football, like I don't see him coming back. I know he trained this week, but from what I've read, he trained apart from the group, so he is not in there with other guys being jostled around with those broken ribs. So, if he did start, I just can't imagine them starting him. That would be very painful for him. Could see him doing more damage even if he did play. So I don't see him playing. I know Murata here is listed at 50% chance playing. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing him play as well. So that really only leaves you with Lukaku and Kane as your forwards that are in the top 15. Midfielders of Mkhitaryan, Salah, Silva, and Eriksen round out the others. Now, with your defenders there, these are the higher priced defenders. As you can see, Davis here is 5.9, Valencia is 6.6. Come down here, Monreal is 5.5, Azpilicueta is 6.6. Cheapest one in the top 15 there is Ward at 4.6. If we go down farther to finish the top 15, here we have Jones at 5.2, and he is also listed is having a knock and may or may not play. I do expect him to play against, especially against Liverpool. That's a game that Mourinho is definitely going to want to win. Um, so moving ahead, as you can see here, I did put out an FPL fixtures planner. This just has the next 5 game weeks on it. Um, I am planning to update this in the future, add some more of the fixtures coming up, probably put in some of the dates in there as well. Um, may or may not put in when the Champions League matches are being played, but um, so this is over at premierfpl.com. It's my new FPL focused site, so that's where I'm going to be putting up my tips for each week. And I'm going to pin this up here, probably put this somewhere that's easily accessible so that you can look at this each week. I'm not going to be one that's going to go through and tell you which matches to really look at. Other than in my videos, I might discuss which teams to really look at, but just want to lay that out there so you can have more of a plan going forward. So that brings me to looking at Liverpool and Manchester United this weekend. One of the issues when I'm even looking at this for myself is Manchester United's upcoming fixtures are looking pretty tough. They have Liverpool away, Huddersfield away, Tottenham home, Chelsea away, all before the international break. All of those are very difficult. Even Huddersfield. Huddersfield has been a pretty solid team this season, especially defensively. So that could be a really tough one. So looking here, Huddersfield here in 11th place. At home, they are 1-2-1 and have allowed just 5 goals this season. So I don't know that I really want to carry Mkhitaryan and Lukaku. I mean, chances are I will stick with Lukaku, even looking at keeping him as a fixture-proof player all season long. But Mkhitaryan is one. He might start to lose some playing time, especially once Pogba comes back, though who knows when that might be even. But I don't know. He's a player that can run hot and cold at times. He's been relatively hot all season, but even in the last game weeks hasn't been producing as much as he did to start the season. So definitely looking at maybe moving out Mkhitaryan there. So that brings us to City players. Manchester City has a very good set of fixtures coming up. Stoke and Burnley at home. They should get goals in both of those games. West Brom away. Even against a Tony Pulis team, I'm expecting them to get goals. Arsenal at home, they should definitely get goals there. Leicester away, definitely get goals there. So if you are really looking to rack up some points, I definitely recommend bringing in City players. David Silva, definitely bring him in. Another one to look at, I know De Bruyne has been played further back, but still managing to rack up the points. Sané and Sterling are 2 of the others to look at. The problem with Sané and Sterling is that they do tend to be rotated, so kind of hit or miss whether you want to, which one you want to go with there. So last week Sterling did play the full 90, so it might be that he's getting a bit more, I guess, trust from his manager. The Aguero injury means that the 2 of them might play more together a bit more often. So those, I would say the 3 to really look at are Sterling, Sané, and Silva. The other one, if you want to go with a forward, would be Jesus. With Aguero injured, he would be a good one to bring in. So maybe doing like a Jesus, Silva, and Sterling as a good trio of City players. Moving forward for Liverpool, they have Manchester United at home, Tottenham away, Huddersfield at home, West Ham away, and then Southampton at home. Not bad fixtures for them, not exactly great either. Manchester United at home. It's going to be a tough one to call. I'm going to stay away from Liverpool players. I would say that you probably should as well, at least for this weekend. I can't imagine that Mourinho is going to want to allow any goals in that game. But Coutinho is one that you should probably look at picking up. He's a player that can just get a goal out of nowhere and is one that I think that you should have in your team as well. So, if we're looking at, so let's see if we look at our midfielders here. Salah's another one that you might want to bring in. But these are all guys that are in the upper tier as far as cost goes. Range by price here. Sanchez is one that I don't know. I don't know that I fully trust him at that price tag. 11.9. I feel like he could get better value elsewhere. But I mean, at 2.6% ownership, he is something of a differential. So if Arsenal starts to do well, you could be one to look at. The problem is they have 2 away fixtures in a row, followed by Swansea at home and then Manchester City. So I don't know. I'm not going with him. I don't know that I would really recommend him either. Hazard, he is one that you really might want to look at bringing in. 4.1% ownership. He is going to be something of a differential. And Chelsea are playing Crystal Palace. I know they're on the road, but Crystal Palace have yet to score a goal and are just, well, let's see. Crystal Palace, bottom of the table, minus 17 goal difference. At home, they've only allowed 6 goals, but that's still 6 goals. And they don't look like a team that are going to be keeping out a Chelsea team that should be flying high. They then have Watford. It's going to be a tough one, but I still think they can get goals. Bournemouth away, and then Manchester United at home. So Hazard is one that you probably want to look at bringing in as well. So this is where the 3-4-3 or 4-3-3 setup comes into play. If you want to stack defense, stack offense, it's going to be a little bit tricky there. So moving back here to our score, Richarlison is one that I have been thinking of bringing in, as well as even Decore. They're both relatively high ownership, which is what is kind of keeping me from bringing them in. The problem is that kind of running out of differential plays that are really going to get you any points, especially in midfield. I know Davis is one here. 4.8% is still a little bit high. Martial is a good differential play, but at 8.0, that's really pretty expensive. So as far as other midfielders go, guys like Gross, Choupo, Moting, Decore, Richarlison, they are kind of like the mid-tier here in the center of the field. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is another player you could look at bringing in. So it's basically a difference between Tom Carroll or Ruben Loftus-Cheek as far as who you want for your low-end midfielder, just to clear some space in there. All right, so the one thing that I really wanted to look at this week is defenders, and specifically, actually I'm just going to go straight to them, specifically Burnley's defenders. Their top 3 defenders are Mee, Lowton, and Ward at 4.5 and 4.6. Now, Lowton and Mee are on the lower end here as far as picking up points, but Lowton, as you can see, is 1.3% ownership, so a good, solid differential. Last 2 weeks has picked up 6 points in each week. Now, the interesting thing with them is they are a team that have allowed the most shots per game, 21 shots per game that they've given up. But they have balanced that out, somehow managing to get 3 clean sheets this season and have only allowed 5 goals all season. And this includes playing against teams like Chelsea, Tottenham, and Liverpool, all on the road, and coming away with 5 points from a possible 9. So the way that they have really done this is setting up a very low block defensive unit, then playing with a pretty quick and very direct counterattack. And that's been pretty much across the board how they have played. So in addition to that, they have blocked the most shots per game with 8.7. The next closest is Leicester City with 5.9. This is per game, so 8.7 blocks per game. Um, they have 3.6 saves per game, which is the fourth most, and they have the most clearances per game with 40.3 per game. That's almost 10 more than the next closest, who is Everton at 31.3 per game. So Burnley is a defense that you probably want to keep an eye on all season. Tarkowski is another one that at 4.5, you could pretty much have any one of these four defenders and look at picking up points fairly frequently. Tarkowski is one that would be more of a differential if you did want to start him. Not picking up quite as many points as the others, especially Lowton, me, and Ward. Ward is especially picking up a lot more points since he is more of an attacking defensive player, has the goal and an assist already this season. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as defense. If I did my wild card, I would definitely be bringing in probably two of those guys, Ward and probably Ward and Lowton, just to get some of that differential in there. But otherwise, for now, I'm not really looking at making any major changes. I think I really am going to hold off on using my wild card after the next international break. See if we can get some other players back in. I think that I probably would use it now if there weren't so many injuries out there. So it's kind of a tough call whether or not I would recommend it. I would say depending on what your team looks like, if you're happier with your team, don't bother with the wild card. If you feel like you need to make 3 or 4, I'd say if you're in the range of wanting to make 3 or more changes, wild card is probably a good bet right now, just to try to reset, make some changes, and move forward from there. So the last thing that I wanted to look at is captain's picks for this week. As you can see, Harry Kane is averaging 6.4 shots on target per 90 minutes this season. Most by a total, like more than one more than the next closest player, who's Andy Carroll, and he's only made 3 appearances this season. Romelu Lukaku, 4.4 on target this season. So looking at who you want to go with for a captain pick for this week, it's a tough one. I think I am actually going to go with Harry Kane. So let's check out some of these team statistics here. Shots per game. So Bournemouth has allowed 14.3 shots per game this season, with Harry Kane taking 6.4 on target. And so if we look at where he's taking a lot of these shots, he's averaging 2 per 90 minutes out of the box, which really isn't that great. It looks like he's taking a lot more long shots, but even the 0.6 is up there with, in terms of some of the top players that are really scoring, he's up there. Chicharito, Morata, they all have the same amount per 90 minutes. Gabriel Jesus has slightly more, so he's another one that you might want to look at if you'd rather go with him. Open play, he is also at the top. So these are some of the reasons why I'm thinking that I am going to go with Harry Kane for my captain's pick for this week. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make that change right now. That way I don't forget. That is the worst thing, when you think that you made a change and then you never clicked save and you're stuck with the choice that you didn't really want to go with. So Harry Kane is going to be my captain for this week. Vardy is another good shout for captain for this week. Leicester's playing West Brom. I know West Brom like to play defensively, but the way that Leicester play, they don't always need the ball, and that's going to force West Brom into something, playing a way that may not always like to play. So that could be an interesting one as well if you want to go with that. Um, Another shout might be going with Hazard for Chelsea. Could always wait to see. Well, it's going to be a tough call as to whether or not they're going to play Batshuayi this weekend. So could be an interesting one, whether or not Batshuayi plays or not. So he could be a kind of a differential captain's pick for this weekend. Ericsson too might be another good choice for a captain's pick. So anyway, that kind of rounds out this week for my week 8 FPL tips. I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a subscribe here at my YouTube channel. I am planning to put these out every week, looking at Fridays for now. Might try to do a Sunday afternoon video as well in the future. And also, go check out my blog over at premierfpl.com. I am still working on it, so hopefully you can find your way around. I am putting out posts every week and hope to make some changes, make it look a little bit nicer, and update a few things. So for now, I do have my fixtures planner up there, so go over, take a look at that as well. You can find me at Todd_Shank, and I'd really appreciate it if you followed Premier FPL on Twitter as well. And then there is going to be there's a Facebook page out there if you want to find us on Facebook. So yeah, that wraps it up for my week 8 tips, and hopefully you're able to have fun, and wish you good luck for this weekend.